The man with no name. I cannot wait to get free from being locked up in this house for all of these weeks. Finally, I get to get back out and get a good workout in and go to the gym. Here he comes. God, every time I come to this fitness center, I see this man. There's just something about him. Let me continue on along with my workout. But as I do, all I can continue to say is, I want you inside of my head. He has no name, so I just name him by what I see. Skin, muscles, sweat, chocolate, glow. The list goes on because I have been silently admiring this man for months. And I have not, as of yet, said one word to him, but just gave a smile every now and then. He knows he looks good. He just has a presence about him. Built as though he was sculpted by the gods themselves. Everything about this man exuded sex appeal, and he knew it too. He knew the reactions he got from the women in the gym. The way that they would look at him every time he spoke. Have I ever walked up to him and said anything? Nope. You see, he was the type of man that knew he had it. Something about the flare in him just illuminated something inside of me every time I saw him. And that startled me more than ever. But in a mischievous, I gotta find out kind of way. So, I stayed my distance. I had to snap out of it because it was as though I was somehow trying to talk myself into something that I don't even know what the outcome could be. But there was something inside of me that wanted to find out if the thoughts in my head would match the feeling I would get with him inside of me. What is this feeling that has come over me? Could it be the full moon that has made me want to journey into his abyss? Or maybe I've been locked up in this house, and when I have my private thoughts, it entails my private parts to think of him, imagining the interaction, wanting to be lifted up, both physically with him and now internally with him, in me, lifting up all my thoughts that I have lurking in my private zone. But I have always kept these thoughts inside of my head. They're safe there. Wanting him to take full advantage of the fact that I have been watching him all this time, studying how he moves, the way he runs when he's on the treadmill, the way he drinks his water, the way he struts around the center, the way he stands and talks to his friends by the court, just him as a whole. Oh my God, I'm stalking this man for his soul. I gotta go work out to work off this feeling, so I hope to God this man don't look in my direction at all. As we say to ourselves as though there is somebody inside fighting the urge to come out and play. And just then, as the thoughts are circulating through my mind, it happened. Yes, he bumps into me. I don't know if it was on purpose, but I felt his arm brush against the center of my back as I was walking out of the changing room, and it startled me. It really startled me. Not scared me, but startled me to the point where my body felt that zing. A zing that shot down from the nape of my neck to the top of my tailbone. Now enticing my pleasure points to the point where I need to find out how this really feels. I don't know why today was different for me, but I felt brave. I felt like, what the hell, why not? I see him looking at me when I transition from the thigh to abdominal machines, almost as though he's undressing me with his eyes. He's probably picturing how my body will look under these fitted tights and sports bras that I choose to prance around in when I notice he's here. And I don't blame him because my mountains were sitting up high for him to glare upon, full of sweat from these workouts and thoughts racing in my mind. When I saw him walking towards the changing rooms, I decided to make my move. I was finally going to talk to him, but what would I even say to this man that obviously knows he is every woman's eye candy in here? I don't know, but here was the perfect time to just act. Just go. You know you're in the men's changing room, right? He said as I walked in the door to where he was standing. I know where I'm at. I just had to come in here and talk to you. He looked puzzled. And with this look on his face, I started to rethink why I even came into this changing room to talk to this fine-ass man standing in front of me. What am I really doing in here? What if he rejects me being this forward? I had to snap out of it. It was now or never. So I said, I know you don't know me, but I have to tell you how much I've admired you from the first day I saw you in here. So I came in here to let you know. Thinking to myself at the moment, this feeling brought me back to being in high school. Seeing that one person that knew how to get a spark out of you by simply just being there, this was it. I realized that I had a major crush on this man that I didn't even know. I guess that was it. He didn't say anything to me. So I just looked at him, gave a sly smirk, and was headed out the door. Until he grabbed me by the waist, spun me around, and passionately kissed me on the lips. Now this was no ordinary kiss. This kiss had ignited all senses that I had been desiring for him to touch since I laid eyes on him. This kiss made all my common sense turn into thoughts of having no sense and giving him all of me where we stood. This was no ordinary kiss. This was a statement, and I was in full attention of what was about to be said. He then grabbed me by the hand and led me to the last stall in the men's changing room. He locked the door and gently pushed me up against the wall. As he held onto my waist and drew me in close to him, he whispered in my ear, "Are you sure you want to go there?" At this point, I wasn't sure, but I couldn't say no. I couldn't back down. I was already here. I might as well. It was as though I knew to not do it, but my body wanted to explore the possibilities of him taking full advantage of this impulsive opportunity. On the account, someone could come in at any moment. It begun very intense. His hands against my skin, my hands pressed up against the stall. The thrill of the thoughts alone had my pleasure points throbbing with curiosity. It was as though he knew what I was mentally thinking in the moment. So I allowed him to take my body fully over, completely. As I allowed my thoughts to become his map into my treasure, he took his hand to the back of my head, gripping onto my neck. Then he swiftly slides one of his hands in between the middle of my thighs, opening me up. I kissed his neck slowly as he slid the other hand in between my pleasure points, opening me up with each moan he brought up out of me. I can feel him in me, now cupping my pleasure, inserting into the wetness he is causing to the rhythms of the moans he's managed to exert from me. As a flow of ecstasy flows outside of me, I cannot control how loud I get. It's as though the quietness that has slept in me has all of a sudden awoken in here. He quickly covers my mouth with one hand and continuously gives me more excitement with the other. My mind is racing. It is going 50 miles over the speed limit as his hands move with ease into my wetness. I couldn't help but to pull on his arms. His arms were my handle. Not just because of the muscles and the way they were toned, but they were my handles holding me from falling over in the back stall in the men's changing room where I was now ready to fully indulge with this man that I didn't even know his name. As my breath increased, I gained control of the volume of my moan and stared right into his eyes. As his hands were still involved in me, the look in my eyes said, "Come and take it," while the glare in his eyes stated, "I'm just getting started." And just when we locked eyes at the exact moment, he glides his hands up the nape of my neck and suddenly grabs my ponytail and spins me around, having me abruptly having to hold on to the stall door as I felt him pull down my workout tights in one steady motion and begin inserting everything I had wanted inside of me and more. With each thrust, he swiftly moved his manhood deeper into my pleasure points without missing a beat, grabbing on my succulent and erect mountains that sat tall as though they were waiting for his hands as he played with them as they stood erect for him. I was in complete ecstasy. There were no words. I couldn't even move, let alone utter out my own name by then. He knew it. He knew I was feeling him inside of me by the excitement that it sprinkled out. The look of exasperation was shown all over my face. It's like he knew I was ready to come to the full position of fulfillment. And I did. The waves that were blown from each of my points was enough for him to know he gave me what I came looking for, and more. Something told me that this encounter would be like no other, but there was no way to know this would have been the outcome of me coming in and saying a simple hello. But I was good and satisfied with this ending much more than what I had imagined the first time I saw this man in this gym. Shall I dare think of him? The darkest, glistening eyes inviting me to sin, profoundly lost when soft sounds come from his manhood call. It must have been the full moon that was in bloom, because all I can think of is this man that's in this gym with no name. Hope you enjoy.